There are just some things with DMB that no matter what, I will never understand. I'm talking about stuff like how stand-up is considered to be anything other than a whale carcass rotting on a beach for the last 15 years that is just waiting to be poked. Or how Away from the World was able to be thrown directly into the deep cuts only bucket in about 3 years, whereas Big Whiskey overwhelms and dominates tours constantly to this day, a decade later. The old staple of Jimmy thing, why it gets played nonstop, why it needs another 15 minutes of cover songs lopped onto the end of it just to really eat up an entire block of a show. And then most especially Sledgehammer. Just why? Why? Now, what prompted me to think about this is actually not even DMB. It's actually Umphreys. I saw them this week at the Beacon. Got to check out their new lighting guy, Ben Factor, who did an incredible job. You can see some of the stuff rolling over what I'm talking about right now. It was just a great experience. Something that was really cool that happened there was Mike and Lenny Stern came out and played Miles Davis's It's About That Time. The link to the video is down below. And then to open the second set, they paid tribute to Neil by playing the Rush song Limelight. They were two really special, cool highlights for an already really awesome night of music and a great show in general. And it got me thinking about how the shows that I've been at, the memories I have around DMB covering stuff like that, like when they did Brass Monkey in 2012, or them bringing back Don't Fear the Reaper in 2013, and sort of Dave talking about how Roy had always wanted them to cover it and how that meant something to them in that instance. You know, all this stuff that was just so random, and you wanted to chase the tape down, you wanted to hear how that cover sounded and how DMB handled it. And you would hear from people that you had to be there. It was so epic, and then the footage would come out and everyone would jump on and be so excited to talk about it. And it was the best type of stuff because it was just so out of left field sometimes. Then you go to like the 2018, 2019 tours, and you end the Gorge weekend, and I'm using this as a general example because I actually had a great time at the Gorge. It was an amazing experience, and because I had seen so many shows throughout the summer, taping and traveling around, it didn't bother me nearly as much in the moment as it did a lot of other people, but they basically ended their quote-unquote biggest weekend, Labor Day weekend, with a whole pile of covers that a lot of the people in attendance, because the Gorge tends to attract a lot of the people who see multiple shows, had gotten them before, and there was a lot of displeasure sort of at that ending, just because it didn't feel DMB. It just kind of felt like they were hitting the checkbox that they needed to. Especially when you consider that the Gorge, where was Joyride? Where was Sugar Will? Two humongous big return songs that aren't played very often, are fan favorites, and they just were MIA. So what the hell happened in the past 2 years? Why is Sledgehammer the default button to hit before here on out in almost every set? Like somehow it'll make the audience's ADD deal with no loud noises for long enough for everybody to stretch in. Look at Summer 2018, where the song debuted way late in the season. I think it was 22 shows in when it finally reared, and then it got played 18 times to the tail end. You look at the winter tour sheet, where there were awesome covers in rotation, and it was still the heavy hitter of that batch. You look at even Europe, where they don't tour very often, and it's still one of the top played songs. This is just, it's a quick, boring cover that they have so many better options. It just is this lazy routine that they're in. They could easily shake it up if they want to with that slot. They could put their own songs into there. They could play Kit Kat Jam or something like that, just for the high energy shake up that would pop that show just into the stratosphere for most of the attendance. But nope. It's way easier to just play Sledgehammer. Even worse for me is the fact that if you're on Couch Tour, if you're on the DMB social media, and you don't love this song, you're going to get piled on. You will get told that you're wrong. You'll get threatened to be banned by people. I have seen that happen with other people on Couch Tour. And it's just absurd because you're expressing a discussion point that the song, that's not a DMB song, that is an overplayed cover unlike anything else. that is not deserve the accolades that it gets, because it's not even like they put a specifically unique spin on the song musically. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to have discussions about things like this oftentimes, because people just violently pile on about it. So the whole point of me making this, because Lord knows that it's probably not going to change anybody's opinion about the song specifically or the cover specifically. We'll all have our different tastes. A lot of people like Steady As We Go, and that song is pretty much a power drill to my brain. But in terms of the tour that's coming up, in terms of the truckloads of money that we're about to spend on these impending tour dates and trying to plan things out, keep an open perspective in the group chats, in the couch tour, and things like that. People are allowed to disagree about songs. People are allowed to argue. People are allowed to say that something sucks and have an opinion that they want it out of the set list because it's not worth it. And it should be a discussion point. If you love a song so much, tell us why you love it. Describe why it matters so much to get that song to you, and why it's even valuable in the set list. Don't just say you're wrong. Don't just say it's amazing. Back some stuff up this time. It's 2020. This is almost the third decade of the band with a ton of history. Let's lean into that a little bit more. Let's hope the tour dates come out this week, and I hope that they end up being not accurate, because I really don't want to go Mohegan, but I mean, that's probably what they were going to be.